Well, it's Monday. I don't leave till Friday morning at 6:30 from Fairbanks. I'm 150 miles from Fairbanks now. Yesterday morning I went out and looked across the way and I saw the pickup and I had a flat tire. So, not a problem. We had 4 spares because you always carry plenty of spares up here in Alaska. So, went jacked front end up, went to take the tire off, and the wheel wouldn't turn. Well, the caliper on the front brake is not working properly, so whenever you push the brake, it tends to lock up and drag for a while. Looked at it and tried to fix it, which normally wouldn't be any problem at all. At home, I'd just tear it all apart and overhaul it, and when I was done, it would work. Up here you have to be a little more careful because if I break something while I'm tearing it apart, well, the nearest parts are 150 miles away. The nearest way for me to call to get parts sent to me are 30 miles away in Manley Hot Springs. And the nearest road even that anybody even travels on particularly is about 10 miles away. So you be careful as long as something is actually running, you try not to make it worse. It's raining again. It's been raining all day. The only thing that's helped me out, good old wild turkey. So I put it all back together and then I tried it driving down the road just a little ways, and I found that if I don't use the brakes, they tend to loosen up, and then it doesn't drag, and then it doesn't heat up the rotor, and things go fine. Okay, that's normally not a problem, but there's a little pass of about 500 feet elevation, some steep roads. So the other problem I had is to get to Fairbanks, I need pretty close to 3/4 of a tank of gas. I didn't have that much. So when you take and drive here from Fairbanks, you don't have enough gas to get back to Fairbanks. So the only alternative is you have to have gas on this end, or you have to take and go to Manley Hot Springs to get more gas and fill up there. Then you got enough to make it. With no brakes, driving to Manley Hot Springs 3 miles away. Well, 30 miles. Well, I got brakes. That may be the problem. You might have too much brakes. So I decided this morning that I'd go ahead and attempt to make the Manley Hot Springs. So I started off with the truck and just decided I'm not going to use the brakes. I'm going to just gear down, and when you go down a steep hill, you go down in low gear. That really worked pretty well. I managed to get all the way out to the main road, which is about 10 miles from here, without using the brakes once. And I stopped over at an acquaintance's house to see if they were going to, by chance, be going to Fairbanks in the next couple, 3 days. They weren't, but there was a friend there, another person I had met earlier, John Schilling. He says he's going to Manley Hot Springs, and that was great, so I borrowed a gas can. And I went with John Schilling to Manley Hot Springs. And there I filled up, put 5 gallons of gas in the can, which I figured would be enough to get me to Fairbanks. And he got some water, went to the post office. I picked up a package that I had there, COD for me. And we got all that done, and we came back. And before we started up the 10 miles back to the camp here, he offered to take me to Fairbanks Tuesday or Wednesday if I wanted. I'd pay the gas, which that was great. Because my only other alternative is to drive the Ranger and try to drive it to Fairbanks without using the brakes, or at least using the brakes as little as possible. And if you can stop thinking about making a 150-mile trip without using your brakes, so you get kind of the idea of what might happen. And also the problem is, if you use the brakes and you have a problem and the truck locks up and it is no longer drivable, now you're whatever mileage from civilization it is, and you have a vehicle that's stranded out there. So what I decided to do is take him up on his offer, and Wednesday morning he's going to stop here by and pick me up. He's going to go to Fairbanks and pick up some supplies and things he needed, and also he'll haul me to Fairbanks, and I'll pay for the fuel both ways. That might end up being $150 or so, but it's worth every penny of it. I'm looking forward to get back into civilization where I have some control over what happens. Out here I have absolutely none. If things break, you're screwed. If things don't go right, you're screwed. If Murphy's Law rears its ugly head, you're screwed. So the only way things not for you not to be screwed is for everything to go perfect. So meantime, I'm sitting here. The thermometer on the wall says it's 50 degrees. Before I started the fire, it was 45 degrees. So I'm just sitting there reading a book. The rain's pattering on the roof. It's been raining all day. Probably rain all day tomorrow. It's rained. I've been in Alaska almost a month, and it's probably rained every day, almost solid, except for 3 or 4 days. Unusual, I hope. It's never been this way before. So anyway, happy whatever from Alaska. The prospecting trip has been a bust. We're gonna actually have, Dave and I found a pennyweight or two of gold at Nome. So I do have some Nome gold to take home with me. So it hasn't been a total bust. It's been a great experience. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next year, but I'm not sure that it's going to be here either. So anyway, see you all from the wilds of Alaska.
Oh, Dave. Oh, Dave. Won't you spare me over till another year? Well, what is this that I can't see with ice cold hands taking hold of me?
Well, I am death, none can excel. I open the door to heaven or hell.
Oh, death. Oh, death. Won't you spare me over till another